Hello, in this tutorial I'll teach you how to create charts. So let's log in our framework, choose one of these workspaces, doesn't really matter, let's choose the selected projects and let's select a page. Or let's create a new page. Let's call it charts. So now that we are in our page editor, what I'll teach you is how can you create charts and put that charts into your page. So what we need to do is to drag and drop this widget here called graph into the specific region, and it will open automatically the properties of the correspondent graph. So this is what we'll be working on. So let's just enlarge these properties so we can see this better. So basically what we need to do here in the charts is to create multiple data sets where each data set will contain the correspondent data that will show in the charts. So let me just show you a simple example. So we have multiple different charts. We have vertical charts, horizontal bar charts, line charts, bubble charts and others. So all these charts basically they came from a library, which is this library here, the chart.js.org. So basically we make your life easier by creating all these fields here that you can edit in no codes. But if you want more options, you just need to go here, click here and understand the type of charts that they have. They have multiple different type of charts, as you can see. So the idea is to go here to the properties of these widgets that you drag and drop here, and then go to the data sets here and make your own selection. So what we're gonna do is, just to show you a simple example, is choose. We already chose the chart type. Now we're gonna choose the data type. So it could be based in a resource or it could be based in JSON values. So we're gonna use both. So first we're gonna use this one just so you can see a simple example. So let's say that I have like oranges, bananas and kiwis. Here will be fruits, and this is like the labels, and in here the values I'll have like 5 oranges, 10 bananas and 3 kiwis. So this is just a simple example just to show you this working. So if we save the page and if we preview it, we could see that we have a bar chart with the correspondent value that we put for the oranges, for the bananas and for the kiwis. So additionally of this, we have the background colors that we can change, we have border colors too, we have the border width if we want to put it or not. So we have a bunch of other options that we can select to make our chart more beautiful. So this is just an example. We can have horizontal charts, as you can see. We can have line charts, so you can have a bunch of multiple different charts. Additionally, you can have multiple data sets showing in the same chart. So let's combine a line with a chart, with a bar chart. So I just need to add a new data set here, and now in here I'll put, let's say, well, you know what, I can put exactly the same just so you can see this example. Okay, so if I save this and if I preview, you can see that I have a bar chart together with a line chart. So this is just a simple example just so you can see how easy it is to create charts. Additionally, if let's say that now let's drag and drop another chart. So instead of having hard-coded values, we want to do this based in a resource, and this resource could be some data coming from the database. So let's do that. So let's go to the chart widget again. Let's drag and drop into our region, which could be here, below here. Okay, let's go to the properties. Additionally to the properties, we have other functions here. We can add legends, we can add the titles, we can add subtitles. Like, let me show you an example. So we can enable all of these guys here, where in here this is the title, this is the subtitle, and this is the legend that I want to appear on the right sides. So we have here a bunch of options that you can choose. Additionally, we have this callback, which is basically a JavaScript function that if you want to add some other options that we don't have here, but that you saw that in here is possible to create charts, you can always put here JavaScript function that will receive these options that you put here, and then you can add other ones. So you can always extend this part here of the properties and show exactly the things that you have here. So you can have the full features, the full functionality of the chart.js.org. Okay, so let's scroll down, let's add here a new data set, and now we want to do this based in a resource. So the resource could be something coming from the database, or could be some other action. So the resources are in here in the main settings of the page in the resource tab. So we can simply add a new action, a new resource, and for now let's just create a hard-coded resource, which will be an array, which will be simply an associative array. So let's say that let's put here oranges, bananas, and kiwis. So in here could be 10, in here could be 15, in here could be 30, something like this. And we need to give the name of the resources, which could be fruits, my fruits, so it could be different. Okay, my fruits, okay. Now if I go here and if I refresh, I can see that I have the resource that I created here. So after I select this, the resource, I can just save and preview the page. And voila, as you can see, we have the title, the subtitle, the legend that appears on the right side, and I have my bar with the correspondent resource that is showing. So this is just an example. Additionally, instead of having this resource like this, let's create another resource. Let's collapse this one, and let's put here another resource with a different structure. Instead of being an associative array, let's say that I want to have a simple array with just values. So 10, 15, 30, something like this. And let's put here, let's call it simple values. So this is another resource. And now let's add here another data set, or instead of a data set, let's just add a new chart again. Let's add here a new chart, which could be the first one in this case. And let's add here a new data set based on the resource, which will have the simple values. But in this case, we need to put to hard code here the labels, because if we didn't, let me show you what we will have. So currently we have this with 0, 1, 2. If you want this to have labels, we needed to put here the correspondent labels, which could be A, B, C. You could put whatever the labels you want, split it by comma. So A, B, C, as you can see here. So this is a way of doing this. Let's add here another resource so you can see. So we can have multiple types of different resources. So let's put here something like, let's say that you have something coming directly from the database, which in this case will be, not this one, will have something like this structure here. Let's say that you have 3 records coming from the database, where the first record will have name, value, name, value, name, value. Where in here you're gonna have oranges, bananas, kiwis, and in here you're gonna have 30, 50, to something like this, and the name is records. So we can create another one, will be the first one too, where in this case we want this to be like a line based in resource, which could be records. Now if you choose this type of resource, which is something that comes from the database, you need to set the corresponding attribute name and what is the for the labels, and what is the attribute name for the values. So in this resource here we can see that the labels will be the attribute name, the name, and for the attribute name for the values will be value. So we can just type here name, and in here we can just put the attribute value. And if we save and if we preview the page, here it is. So additionally, if we want, we can create instead. So basically what we did until now was to show you how can we create multiple different charts based in hard-coded values, based in the JSON, or based in resources. But these resources, all of them, they were hard-coded too in here too. So but let's say that now we have some data coming from the database. So in this case what we need to do is to have a database, a table in our database which the corresponding structure, so then we can get that specific values. So we can do that very fast. So let's just go here to our database. Let's create a new table. Let's call it could be fruits. So basically we can replicate the same structure that we did over there. So let's erase these fields that the system creates by default. Let's just leave the ID. Okay, let's put here the name, and in here the value. Okay, and the value will be a numeric field, which could be a number. Okay, so we have the name. Okay, so we just add our table. The table is added. Let's add some records into our table, saying okay, here oranges, I have 10 oranges. Okay, in here I have bananas, I have 20 bananas. Okay, and we can add one more, which could be the kiwis. I have 50 kiwis. And if I want, I could add some other more, which I can say apples, which I have 5 apples, whatever. It's just an example. So basically we have a table where we have a bunch of records with the name and the value. So 2 different attributes. Okay, so let's just close this. So currently we already have here our own table. So what we need to do now is, so we want to create, in this case, a new graph. So let's go here, let's drag and drop again to be the first one. And in here, what we want to do is, first we want to create a data set again, but this time we need to load first the specific resource. So we need to go to dynamic widgets. I show you all of these in the previous tutorials. So we need to go to the load resource, and we want to create a new resource, which should be none of those. It will be a new one, which should be the fruits, which is the new table that we created, where we want to get multiple records. Okay, it's done, perfect. Okay, so we want to update this. Okay, the resource, it is created. All of these other fields are correct, so on page load. Okay, and now that we have the resource created, we refresh it, and we come here and we can see here that we have a new resource called fruits. So that if we come here, we can see that we have the fruits group, where basically we can see that we have a new resource getting all the items of that fruit. And now we need to do exactly the same thing that we did before, which is to put the attribute name for the labels, which is the attribute name, and the correspondent attribute name for the values, which is the attribute name value. So let's remind here our structure. So we have the name and the value, so that's what we need to put in here. So if we save this, so we can put the different colors, so just so we can see this in a different way. Okay, so if we save and if we refresh the page, we should see here it is the graph, the correspondent chart according with the resource that we created. So basically that's it. This is just a simple way to show you how can you show multiple different charts according with different resources. Then of course you have different options, CSS options that you can change in all of these to make this part more beautiful. So you can make this display inline block like this I'm seeing here, so they can appear by the side by side. It's just an example. Okay, yeah. You can make like one of them, you can set the width and the height if you want to. So if you save and if you preview the page, you can see that now the charts appear side by side in here, and this appears a little bit bigger with the corresponding title. In this case the legend appear and define. So all of these you can change, all of these things. So you have here all the options that you can select and that you can change. So this is very easy. So let me show you data title. So that's here. So this one is showing undefined, this is fruit. So basically in here you just needed to write my fruit, something like this. So you save, and if you refresh, here it is. So basically it's just to show you in this tutorial how easy it is to create charts. You can make charts of a lot of things, of everything. So this library is one of the libraries most used in all the roles for charts. So what you need to do is to learn how to work in this library. To do that, what you need to do is to drag and drop the chart widgets, as we already did multiple times, as you can see, and then come here and click in this link and learn how to work with that charts library. Additionally, you have here all the handlers and the functions that allows you to create charts in a very easy way without knowing how to work with the library. So just by editing these fields through no codes. However, if you'd like to extend this, getting all the full functionalities of the chart.js.org, of this library here, in that case, if we don't have, in case we don't have an option in here, you can always extend that options. How? Through the handlers. And that's it. So thank you very much.